All right, hello everybody. It's another Thursday, another SEO Unmasked. I say that every week, but it's episode number 14, November 2nd, 2017. Glad to have you here with us. I'm Garrett Groff.
I'm Vin
Steve
Deletto.
Brownlee.
And Steve
Follow
Brownlee.
the fucking directions.
Look, I come before Vin. I'm going to keep doing it until you stop as well.
Anyways, it doesn't matter.
Sorry, Vin.
Yeah. It's not a whole lot of crazy shit this week. I mean, I guess there are some crazy shit in the news, but nothing crazy on my end going on, really.
Yeah, I spend the week reading contracts. That's always fun.
Yeah, that sounds fun, man.
Didn't we?
It's fun if they get signed.
Didn't we leave all the corporate SEO shit for a reason?
Yeah, apparently big buyers are the same, whether you escape or not. So.
Yeah, but it's real nice when you get a corporate contract come through your email and you get real enticed because those numbers are a lot bigger than than the average.
I don't know. They can order some pretty small amounts to the amount of dollars per amount of paperwork ratio is pretty brutal compared with the smaller guys.
That's true. Actually, we have a new client that's a Nasdaq listed company, and that's kind of like what they do. It's like they order 500 word articles at a time, and it has to go through like this bureaucratic nonsense.
Yeah, it's just like the account work is so much more. It's just putting up with all that stuff.
Yeah. It's a good client, so
yeah. I mean, the money's always worth it, but
I mean, the thing you got to remember is they don't enjoy it their end either. Like the guy that's trying to buy from you is having to fill this stuff in on the procurement system, get 2 sign-offs from higher ups, and that's before you can upload your invoice. Like it's all on these systems. I mean, I've seen, I think this month alone, we've seen like 4 crazy new systems that we've never seen before. Yeah, pretty interesting what people have to put up with to buy a pencil.
For sure.
Anyways, I don't know. Not a whole lot going on with me this week, but first news item. Facebook is saying it's going to reveal all the ads, and you can sneak up on your competitors and have some fun. I guess, is it supposed to be like a transparency effort on their part after the heat they're kind of in, or is that?
That's what they're saying, yeah.
It's related to the election and how Russia apparently tinkered it with it using Facebook posts and fake news.
Well, they only spent $100,000, so I don't really think it had any impact on anything.
Yeah. But Facebook, for the longest time, has had something called an advertisement option called the dark post. And what that is you could go into Facebook's power editor for advertising, and you can create an advertisement that doesn't show up on your company page or your Facebook page. So it's a standalone post, and it could really be on any topic you want it to be, not necessarily related to the topic of your page. So they're saying that Russia was doing this on all unrelated pages with, sharing fake news, political posts. So now what they're doing is at the bottom of these dark posts, these one-off advertisements, they're going to have a little box that says this was paid for by whoever, so you can get a little bit of context.
Yeah, I mean that's just for the politics. I think where it'll affect the marketers is if you go to a page once this rolls out, you're not going to get that amount of breakdown on all the ads, but you're going to still be able to go to a page and click view all ads from this page and see all of the brand's ads. So suddenly you or I can, without paying for an expensive, obviously there's tools available that do this anyway and scrape the ads pretty well. But now without spending a penny, you can just jump on Facebook and see all of Coca-Cola's ads. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So Facebook arbitrage, PPC guys have been doing this forever. They'll post dark posts, and then they do the whole cloaking thing. So Facebook sees one link, and then their target demographic will be served a different page, which is completely against terms of service. And those same guys, they have all these ad spying tools, so you can plug in a keyword and be served with all the advertisements on Facebook for that keyword. But this is actually going to allow them to go a step further where they can actually type in the competitor and see the advertisements that the competitor is pushing. So,
I mean, the title's a little bit disingenuous because they are still dark posts in the sense that Facebook meant it. They still won't show on your newsfeed. Like if you do a dark post ad after this update, and now, in terms of your feed, the result's the same. It won't be on your page. It's just that there will be an option for people to find them.
The concept of the dark post is not going away. It's just that they're going to append a little bit extra information onto it so you can understand the context of it. So if you see, your favorite page about, cooking tips, post something political, you'll be able to understand what's really going on.
Mm.
But it does present, some loopholes for these arbitrage guys who rely on spying on the competition to kind of.
I'm going to spend literally 150 hours the first week this comes out watching ads.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to look at every brand, every interesting niche. I'm gonna look at everything because it's super cool.
Yeah, I'm not such a PPC guy, or I'm not at all, but I kind of understand what those guys do, and this is definitely opening up for something. But it's going to be interesting just to see like what big brands are doing too, as far as their dark posts, to kind of get insight into what their goals and strategies are.
For sure,
it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
I just like looking at the ads, and I mean, like like a lot of the small ad shops, I'm not a great advertising genius, obviously, but some of the ads some of these guys run, and they ask for advice on like Facebook groups and stuff, and I'm killing it. I'm making 90 grand a month in revenue for my client, and I just want to be able to see like, no, it's like I doubt you are with this ad, or oh, that's actually really cool, good idea. And so it should be fun to see what a lot of the small guys are up to, I think. But
sure,
yeah.
The thing with this though is I don't think this is going to even scratch the surface at stopping fake news. I mean, people that are doing this are savvy enough to come up with this.
So how hard is it for you just to set up some random fake bullshit page, and it still says it's part of this page, but the page is fake?
Well, think about how the fake news works. Like the reason it worked is because these people that were making the money and they're getting viral posts out there. One, they had no interest in the politics anyway. Like most of these guys had both a Democrat and a Trump page.
Yeah.
Like they were playing both sides of it anyway.
Yeah.
And how many of the people who are just spaz clicking like and commenting on the article?
Because it was one or the other.
Yeah. How many of those go to the page, click on the show more ads, and look to see that this is a cynical page that's just promoting all kinds of stuff?
No, they either heard what they wanted to hear or they didn't. And if
you're scrolling your feed and you just smash like, it's going to make no difference to the pages. I think it could have an effect on competition, because if you remember back to pay-per-click when it came out on Google, I did it. I didn't know what I was doing. I built a commercial mortgage lead gen page on Yahoo Page Builder. It barely had any features. It just looked terrible. But there was no one doing good shit in advertising back then. I just drove the clicks to it, and I made a fortune in mortgage leads for myself for very little ad spend. I think the same thing's going to happen with Facebook. Is when people see what you can do and see better stuff, it's going to raise the bar for everyone. So I think people who are kind of just making it with Facebook ads now are going to find the creative that they have to go to and the landing page conversion rates that they need are going to become that little bit harder. It's going to just notch that bar up an inch, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
True. Next on the list from the Net Neutrality Archives. Get this pasted here. Dead people mysteriously support FCC's attack on net neutrality.
Remember that movie Black Sheep with Chris Farley?
Yeah.
And he like dead people are voting in Seattle or some shit like that. But what's going on here?
Go on, Garrett.
I don't know. I think Vin's comment sums it up pretty well. It's just
So somebody hacked into a database, and they're obviously on the side of the FCC, and they're using a database of names in alphabetical order to basically slam the FCC website supporting net neutrality, or the end of net neutrality.
Mm-hmm.
And the FCC basically is coming back and they're saying, we understand it's a hack, but we can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And, I would love to see what they would say if it was, something against their cause. But
right.
It's pretty convenient that that it's going this way. And we all know how powerful social proof can be. So if somebody's going on the site and they're seeing all this support, it's a little scary.
Yeah, I mean, obviously net neutrality is terrible. I mean, we should totally be paying $1,000 to put our show out to our 100 viewers right now.
Right.
It's only fair, right?
I see both sides of net neutrality. I mean, I always believe that the free market will always come up with the better option, and I don't really want government involved. But at the same point, I think the internet is pretty fine the way it is right now.
Well, ironically, for your position, you need the government to get involved to make it stay the way it is right now. So, it's kind of,
Well, if net neutrality stays, they're going to list the internet as a utility, right? That's the way it's going.
It would take an act of government to maintain net neutrality. If the government doesn't choose to enforce net neutrality, then it's gone.
Right.
And the free market, I'm sure, will come up with some great packages. Have you seen the company in Europe? I think it was Finland. Like you have to pay extra if you want to watch YouTube and things like that.
Oh yeah, I didn't include that in the news this week, but no, it was was it Finland? For some reason, I thought it was an oceanic country. Where
I don't know.
It was an oceanic, like Singapore. It's not Singapore, a smaller country, but if you wanted to use Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and Pinterest, it was like $5 a month to see those websites. And then if you wanted to go on media websites like Netflix or whatever, those an extra $7. And then
that's crazy.
Cooking, like food and foodie sites, were like $3. And
so
when you think about it, it's just like, so let's just say those are the actual prices. I mean, people are paying more than that just to have the connection. Why try to limit it?
Right. Well, what's going to happen is there's going to be ISP specific sites. There's going to be Comcast Netflix and Verizon Netflix, because they'll never come to an agreement. As far as
Netflix and YouTube and people like that will just pay. Before any of this net neutrality discussion came up, there was already cases where some of the big, and I won't say it was those ones, some of the big online companies have paid ISPs to get faster connections to their customers.
Yeah, so does that become an antitrust thing? We've talked about that in the past. You've totally blocked out anybody other than like the top 1/10% of websites.
Yeah,
like you can't start a new YouTube site, type site, unless you can pay the $100 billion to Comcast or.
Yeah, I don't think the actual end user will be the one shelling out the cash to get access.
I think it'll be both.
It'll show up in,
regardless of money, it's still limiting. I think it's
limiting competition automatically means the end user pays more. I think Vin will be proven incorrect if net neutrality dies and the market will not find the best solution. I think his internet will cost more and he will get less stuff from it. That's my prediction.
I don't know why it scares me so much.
Speaking of which, what's important with the timing of this attack is that it's expected that the FCC reveals their plan for net neutrality sometime before Thanksgiving. And then they're going to put it to a vote right before Christmas, which is usually done when the government wants to push something real fast.
Yeah.
While everybody's away on holiday and that kind of thing.
It's just one of these. I'm not going to get political about it, but it's something that pretty much every American citizen is just like, we want a free and open internet, and that's that. And we all talk about it in some degree, but yet here we are. It's like absolutely no say in it for the most part. It's like whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And
well, you know, write to your representatives.
Yeah,
I know you guys laugh at me. I write to mine all the time, but you know,
yeah,
I
just posted a link. It's for battleforthenet.com. What they do is they allow you to call through your computer to your representative, and they give you a script as to what to say to them once you get them on the line. So
if you're in the UK, it's a write to them. You can go on to do the same.
Mm-hmm. What is it called? Write
to them, just one word. Yeah, I think it's .com, but it might be .co.uk. Easy enough to Google.
Yeah, there it is.
Super cool. Makes it easy for you. And sometimes they write back with something pretty long if it's an issue that's important to the party, and you do get some sensible replies. But as well, it's important just to make your views known, because if you have a sensible point, they are human, and they do read some of their correspondence. You know, their assistant will be piling through for. That's why it's important not to use the form letters. Like a lot of these campaigning sites are like, send this letter to your representative. If they get 47,000 of it, they just count them and they're like, yeah, but I think 3 million people disagree with this. If the well thought out ones end up with them getting briefed about them, someone sent this really interesting letter in.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. It's going to happen real soon.
I guess it kind of blends into the next topic of Google shutting down the ITA's public-facing APIs, which if you're not familiar with that, you know, there's a lot of travel data out there, and there's a lot of sites that are starting up doing work, trying to find you lowest fares, good at travel ideas and packages. And Google obviously has a ton of this information, but they're going to shut down the APIs, so you're forced to either do it all manually, which we all know is not going to work at any kind of scale. There's millions of flights and shit to not going to work.
Well, I think that first of all, Google's flight information, that was like a recent development within the last 2 years. They just started doing that, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, they only built that. So they bought the ITA software, I think, in 2010 or 11. It obviously took them a while from there to develop their Google Flights, which they rolled out afterwards. The problem with it is, the first thing they did was they bought up the source of the data, the company that owned the data, because they can just buy anything.
Mm-hmm.
Then they built a product which they anti-competitively, as far as the EU was concerned in their recent judgment anyway. We'll see, again, that goes through the courts. But as far as the EU is concerned, they anti-competitively, so they allegedly anti-competitively positioned that at the top of search. Although to me, it's kind of clear that the algorithm doesn't apply. Like Skyscanner can't appear above it. Their own algorithm doesn't apply. Their flight search will appear at the top, regardless of whether it even has a good result for the flight you're searching for. But putting that aside, they positioned it at the top, and then they removed the data source that could have allowed a startup to even start to exist. So having put themselves ahead of the existing competitors, having bought the source of most of the data, they then are looking to make sure no one new can come along as well. And I think with the power of the big tech companies, you've got to think, if you're starting something like that really, really long down the road, are you going to be able to exist in 5 years' time? And there's loads of business ideas where you're not at risk from this kind of thing. And there's business ideas where you can just be switched off like this. And I think it's more important now than ever not to pick one of those ideas where you're just a button push away from not having your data.
Where were these companies, these third-party companies, getting their data from prior to Google? I mean, because the
ITA was independent. Google bought with this some similar.
Okay. And that is the only source of that data.
Rolled their own search, put their search at the top of the result, closed down the data to the public from anywhere else.
It's fucked up.
Do you like? I never go to Google Flights or anything like that for any kind of travel stuff, and I don't know why, but I think we've talked about in the past, like
going to Google Shopping.
Yeah, Google Shopping. Like, do a lot of people do that? Because even for travel, because I think people typically go to like Expedia or Priceline or the big well-known.
Google Flights is better than Skyscanner now for a lot of if you're trying to book complex itineraries and stuff. It's actually because they bought, the ITA system, which was the best, and they've pretty well integrated all the functionality into their flight search now. It's really, really good.
Yeah,
I found some amazing.
I think the average internet user is going to choose the option that's presented to them fastest with the cheapest price. And
yeah, I mean, if you type in now. Let's do it together. I can't reach my keyboard. Someone else type in cheap flight Seattle to Minneapolis or something. See who has the best results.
We have on Google. So there's 3 ads, and then nonstop Sun Country is 217. Alaska.
Whose result? So that's Google Flights results.
Yeah, that's Google Flights, and then Kayak is number 1 for organic.
So what do you think the average user clicks most likely? They're going.
Well, I guess I'm not even talking about the people that are searching this on Google. A majority of the population of internet users, do they even type a flight search like this into Google, or do they go straight to Kayak or Priceline or Travelocity?
There's a substantial amount of travel search traffic. I've worked with one of the biggest luxury holiday, I'll say, to avoid giving their niche away too much, luxury holiday providers over in the UK. There's a substantial amount, enough to make $1 billion company. If you can be anywhere in the top 5.
Yeah,
before, of course, who knows what effect the flights thing is having on the value of being there, because being number 5 sure as hell isn't as valuable when they've got the actual flights listed above.
Yeah, because for me, like, I have a personal disconnect because I just give my loyalty to Delta for, I don't know why anymore, but they're usually cheaper because the hub's Minneapolis, but Delta doesn't offer lower prices outside of Delta.com. If it's on Delta.com, it's either the cheapest or it's more expensive on the other sites. Right. And so I just book direct, obviously, but
yeah, I always book direct with the airline, or I go directly to like Kayak or Orbitz or whatever.
Google Flights links you to the airline quite a lot directly to their website. I don't know how they get paid in that instance. I guess that's between them and the airlines. But Skyscanner has similar deals though, where they don't get commission; they just charge the airlines to be listed. And I would imagine there's some similar arrangement going on. I'm sure one of the viewers knows, because it's probably public information, or at least
I don't know.
Not the amount.
It's interesting.
What's going on.
Yeah, I always wanted to start a site like you see last minute travel deals, but I have no idea how to aggregate that data. Like, can you work with an airline somehow? Like, it's 18 hours to go, and Delta has 30 unsold seats to Hawaii, and they're willing to discount them like 60% to get some people on the plane and make some money off it or something. I don't know if 60% off would work, because it might not even pay for the fuel for an extra 5,000 pounds of shit. But you know what I mean?
Well, they have to fly the plane. That's why they do last minute deals at all, because to keep their slots at the airports, they have to run the schedule that they've agreed to run. I think they're allowed.
Well, of course. I mean, they're going to run the plane, but there's been times, I remember back in 2000, went up to Vancouver on my flight back from Vancouver on a 737. That's like a 150 passenger jet. There's maybe 20 people on it, and like, I mean, that hopefully doesn't happen often, because there's no way that's going to be good, obviously. But like a last minute flight, like 18 hours ago, who wants to go from Vancouver to Minneapolis for $100, business class or something? It's just like, get someone on the plane.
Right.
Yeah,
I like doing that shit. If I got an email like $100, you can go out to LA. Okay, yeah, why not?
Well, I read an interesting piece about that from a travel industry insider, and he was saying the problem with it from the airline's perspective is twofold. The first one is they don't want to encourage people to benefit from booking at the last minute. Almost all of their profit comes from business travelers who have to book at the last minute and have to pay about 6 times the price. So the last thing they want is to encourage casual buyers to book at the last minute. So they don't want to make things available that deflate their, gives an expectation. The other thing was, when you start discounting the price, there's not much you take off before it becomes like, we'd rather just leave the seat empty and not have to bother servicing a passenger. So it's kind of, it's closer than you think.
The first point's really good, because I talked to my aunt. She works through a big advertising agency in Minneapolis, and she gives me shit about flying first class. I'm like, well, I book at least 6 weeks out, and I know that's the best time to book a Delta flight. and I get a good deal, and it's definitely worth it. And I asked her, how far out do you fly book your flights for business travel? And she's like, oh, usually less than a week out. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, if you're booking less than a week out, you're paying out the ass for an economy ticket. And she's like, well, that's just how the company does it. Well, then don't complain. You know, I don't know.
I've had to book like 2 days before a few times, and it's usually like double the price.
Yeah, and it's like if you would have booked 6 weeks in advance, you would have had first class cheaper. You know.
If I'm like,
Yeah, and the airlines stick to it. Like, I was trying to get an upgrade out of Las Vegas before, and I could see on the booking system that there were empty seats in business class, quite a few of them, with under 8 hours to go till takeoff. They wouldn't sell it to me. They wouldn't even give me an upgrade fee or anything. You had to pay $12,000 because that's the market rate for a business class seat at that notice.
Yeah.
And they won't back down on it because that's where their money comes from.
12 grand?
I didn't pay for the upgrade. I stayed in premium.
Anyways. Moving on. More Facebook stuff again. According to this tweet, I'll get her in the chat really quick here. Or did, no, Vin didn't beat me to it. Next one. The 24% of the Facebook insiders' stock holdings have been dumped at an alarming rate, apparently. And whoever this Greg guy is, chief financial analyst, I probably pasted the wrong one, didn't I? Or not? I don't know.
No, I've got the Facebook one.
Oh, okay. That's kind of interesting because, I mean, the flack going around them isn't really a big deal, but why? You know, it's like a significant amount of holdings to see disappear in a short amount of time. And maybe they all decided that it's time to take $1 billion, but
the ad thing we talked about. I mean, do they think big brands are going to be not wanting their creative ads to be shown? Do they think they've been forced into this move and it's going to hurt the bottom line in the short term? Is there something else?
That's an interesting point because we've seen in the last 3 months Procter and Gamble pulling $1 billion in ad spend out just because they don't like. It's not exactly why in this case, but it's in the same realm of they just don't feel comfortable with digital.
It's interesting. I mean, we're just guesstimating as the reason right now, but
it's interesting though, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm looking here. Where did they get this data from?
It's all public information because of most of these people own more than a relevant amount of the stock, so the company has to report when they sell it. So this is just straight up public information.
Yeah, that's why it's public. It's 24% of the company just got sold off, or the internal holdings. So I don't know what that. Yeah, obviously not 24% of the company. But
was this report? Did you guys see this reported elsewhere? Maybe probably a Market Watch tomorrow. This is just from today.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if there's some coverage on this. I literally just picked it up. There were a few tweets about it. The guy, the original sharer, seemed to be legit, so I just put it in the show for discussion. But I haven't seen it on. It wasn't on Bloomberg's Market Watch today or anything. So I don't know if there's been any impact of this or.
Yeah. Well,
unless I missed it, I kind of just had the show on in the background, but I didn't pick up on it.
I think a lot of us have always guessed that Facebook ads, there's something shady about it. But it also works too because between the three of us, we know guys that are banking hard on Facebook ads, but we just don't know how many clicks are from bots or how.
Yeah. So last week we ran an ad for the Reach Creator site, which, no offense, it's not the greatest site that we've ever put together, and
it was meant to be our temporary site. Yeah. It's not done yet.
And Steve's in the middle. He's done a whole new rebuild on it, where he's about to push it live. But I think we drove. It was 800 clicks and just under 600 were unique, all to the incentivized links page with the trial offer. And we didn't get a single sign up. And I told Steve, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, we had a good cost per click. It was all cheaply done and whatever, but we didn't get a single sale out of it. And so now we're going back through the analytics, and it just doesn't make sense. It's really weird.
According to ClickFunnels, we had 24 visitors, and we're like,
okay, so yeah,
that's a bit of a difference.
Yeah, just
but I mean,
really weird.
I think the fraud is taking account in the price, though, because I mean, this is where Vin is right about the market. It's a bidding war. So imagine the quality of a Facebook click went up 47%, because imagine it was 7% crap now and they deleted it. People would just be paying 47% more. Maybe they'd only be paying 45% more. But I think people overestimate the savings that they would make if the ad platforms fixed their data, because you pay based on what you think it'll be worth. I mean, we've run hugely successful Facebook campaigns for clients too. This is probably one of the only ones.
This is why it's just really weird. I don't know if it's a fluke.
I think it was a fluke, yeah.
If it just comes down to the site just isn't really meant to convert, it's supposed to be just like
more bots in our industry. So internet marketing related posts are going to get more bot traffic. The market we were targeting, because it was our paid links product, so we're targeting people who follow PBM groups and stuff like that. They're going to have more fake followers, more bots following them, more competitors that don't like us. Whereas when we're advertising a client that does plumbing, they have 0 bot following competitors, 0 people that hate them. You know, I think it was just a particular because we've never had one that you've run for anyone.
So you're basically saying that when it comes to fake clicks and bots and that type of thing, it's a problem that affects everybody. So we're all operating on an equal level.
Yeah. I would think that if Facebook eliminated any fraudulent clicks, the price of the clicks would go up, because the big brands are looking at ROI. Well, everyone's looking at ROI. Like if you sell something where you need to spend $60 in advertising to make $100 in revenue, and then you'll make $10 in profit, you'll keep spending that $60 forever, and you don't care that $24 of that was fraudulent clicks. If they fix it temporarily, you might benefit, but then everyone else who was previously unable to buy is able to buy, and it just bids the price back up again, and before you know it, you're paying the break even again, because people can't pay more than that, because they start losing money on products in your market. It's a bidding war. I think it would benefit Facebook to fix it, because obviously, like Garrett said, there's a reputational issue, and some of the really big brands are throwing them out. But you think back to newspapers. I mean, newspaper circulation figures weren't reported correctly. You know, you had local papers that would dump like 1,000 coffees on their local coffee shop. You know, and they would be like, oh, you know, most of them get left in the shop. They get read on average 6 times each per day. That's 6,000 circulation in that coffee shop, and then we'll do that here. And they'd be like, oh yeah, so we've got 797,000 circulation. It's the same hocus pocus that's going on. But if you run an ad in that for $1,000, it gets you the $4,000 in revenue that you need. It's an ROI decision. And I think just because you can prove that there's some bad clicks in there on some of these online ad platforms doesn't necessarily mean they're worse than the unprovable equivalent that came before. They may actually be better, because at least when you have a bad ad like we had this time for the first time ever, we know it was a bad ad straight away, or a bad landing page. Well, the whole from beginning to end, that was a bad idea. And you shut it off after you dicked off $500. If you ran a bad ad campaign before, you had $20,000 in TV spend down, and you know, you committed to another 2-month run.
Mm-hmm.
You know, being able to just burn things that don't work, it's almost better than before, when you know you couldn't prove that there was something dodgy going on. Now you can prove it, maybe sometimes, but even when you can't, you know to just turn off and do something different. So I think we're in a really good position with that. I haven't lost any faith in Facebook. We've had one bad, like 99.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, it's just brand awareness. Whatever. It was $475, I think. Whatever.
And it's like 0. I mean,
yeah, it's just. I know it's just weird. It's like, I know the site's not great, but after, you would think someone would just have bought a trial link, at least one where you could say, all right, we didn't totally.
I mean, a lot of people have spent a lot of money on the site, so it's not like it's so bad that. I mean, we know it's bad because we meant to. we meant to replace it in January, and we're in November now, so we're a little bit behind on getting onto that. But we know it's not that 0 people out of 500 genuine people that wanted the product wouldn't buy on that page. It's it was a bad kind of package, and sometimes that happens on these online ad platforms and people lose heart. But I mean, if you imagine it was the other way around, like this was our first ad, we might be giving up.
Well, then we'd be like, we're Facebook marketing experts. Give me $20 million so I can run your ads. I only have one ad I've ever ran, but it was the one.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Oh man. Anyways, next on the news list, the guys over at Siege Media put out a pretty cool little walkthrough if you want to learn how to rank like pages about how-to stuff. So if you got like a page with a video on it or something, like how to tie your shoes, how to fried chicken, or how to pour a dry concrete. I don't know.
You would see on about.com or eHow sites.
I think they.
I think good authority sites have these kind of pages. I mean, I think obviously some of it's stupid, like how to tie your shoelaces. I mean, that's the eHow stuff. But I think for some things, it's pretty cool. Like if you were an audio video site and you wrote a really good how-to on how to set up your green screen in indoor lighting without spending more than $100 or something, that kind of guide, if you took advantage of this markup, might just show for how to set up your green screen, and it's breaking down where to use your H tags, where to use lists, which action words to use to make it more likely that Google picks your list over someone else's. So you're already writing an amazing piece of content for audiovisual experts on how to set up their green screen perfectly, but you're also going to benefit from being able to pick this up for the shorter head
green
query.
Screens, if someone could write a proper article how to set up a green screen, because it doesn't exist. Like if you look around my hair, like it might just be the software that I use, but an XSplit. But I mean, like you can tell, like it's kind of blurred, and I've read so much shit. But it's like, use a good green screen, and it's like, well, everything around, like you can see around the top of the chair, it gets blurry, and it must just be the software. But I don't know. I got good lighting. I didn't mean to change the subject.
You're getting there, man. Don't worry.
I noticed that with even with the multi-millionaire, extremely experienced PewDiePie, he's unable to keep his green screen working correctly. I think his whole on one of his recent videos, his whole headphones were blurred into the green screen. So
I think we're gonna make.
If he's allowed to make a mistake, I think we can have a little bit of.
I think we'll make the move to vMix, because I have a feeling it's everything in the XSplit software. It's geared more towards gamers that don't really have a budget, but they just want to stream on Twitch because they have the dream of getting rich streaming. And but, I didn't mean to go on a tangent.
This post is actually really good, just not so much for the how-to topic. I mean, it's very specific to say how to rank a how-to article, but he's giving you on-site optimization best practices in a roundabout way. So, we all know to use ordered lists. We all know to use nested headings. But there's some good tips here as far as which solve for multiple learning methods. So we all know that people learn different ways. Visual learners, people that learn by listening. So he suggests offering the information in different formats. So, we all say, add different types of media, but this is very specific, where you create a graphic that illustrates how to tie a tie, or create a video where you can watch a video of doing it. And that'll help with your time on site, and that'll help with your bounce rate. And, by improving both of those metrics, you're going to rank better naturally. So I think it does a good job with that too. And then the rest of it is basically just how to get that featured snippet, which is, use your schema tags for your ordered lists or unordered lists. Use, headings above the list with an action verb. and this has been proven in a few different areas to work to get you that featured snippet. But I think it's important to say that this is working right now, and maybe 6 months from now it might not be working.
Well, I think like with all technical on-site SEO, if you follow the best practices, you give yourself the chance. Obviously, if everyone starts doing it right, then you're less likely to get it. But
Right.
I mean, I know Ben's being too modest anyway. I know from his past projects, he's the featured snippet king and had them all locked down on one of his projects. So
do you get a lot of
don't listen to his modesty. He's the featured snippet king over there.
Do you get a lot of them from the content I sent over?
Sorry?
Do you get a lot of featured snippets from the content for us that I send over to you guys?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
We can. I've
Yeah, we
never
don't
looked for any of the client stuff, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I still haven't nailed it down as to what triggers a featured snippet. It's got, as usual, it's going to be a mix of a bunch of stuff. But from what I've seen, the unordered lists, with very clear descriptive headings, tends to win out.
So, all right, guys, we're gonna get him drunk in Vegas, and he's gonna actually reveal these secrets that he's keeping to himself.
I wish I knew.
All right, I don't know, man. You don't have a site that has like every featured snippet in the niche you know what you're doing. We're gonna get him drunk, and he's gonna reveal all of them on SEO UnMasked Live Las Vegas.
The site that I sold had a bunch of really nice featured snippets.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah. They didn't keep up with the link building, so that they kind of pulled back to the bottom of the first page for a lot of keywords, and they lost all that good free top rankings. But anyway.
Yeah, they're important to hang on to when stuff changes. Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, Google's going to change its recommendations for the schema, the markup, what they think is a good list, because they're still testing. I mean, which list items get clicked on, which ones perform well. That's all still new to Google to some extent too. They've got a few years data on it instead of, some of the other stuff they've got. I don't know, like how long? 2 decades or more or whatever of data.
Yeah.
It's new data to them, and what works is going to influence what goes there in terms of what works for their users. So if your featured snippet isn't answering the question, and it follows a trend that other similar featured snippets also don't answer the question, someone else's way of approaching it's going to be the right one. So although I was joking with Ben a little bit because he was killing it on them, he is right. If something doesn't work out for Google, you can expect them to adjust the filter, and then suddenly following this exact model might not work. But I love posts like this just because it's cool to break down. You're building an authority site, you're building a site. There's different types of pages that you want to perform well, and if you have a how-to page and you followed a guide like this that's pretty solid and covering off, you can kind of get a good result from that particular page type, and then move on to the other stuff you've got to learn. Whereas the more general, how do you write good content guide is too broad to really help you if you don't know what you're doing. So I think this kind of page is cool to share on the show just because it helps someone focus on just one thing that they're trying to solve, which is why.
I've been toying with the idea of doing an education section on the site where I have a tutorial for every type of content. So blog posts, reviews, roundup posts. Yeah. But we'll see. Maybe I'll make
read that. I don't remember if I shared that link with you guys, the roundup post I found where one of the people that had been asked for the roundup question just said, I answer that in my blog post here, and pasted the link, and they actually put that in the roundup. It's like
that was the quote that they posted.
Yeah. That's when the meme of the roundup post is dead. Like people can't even be bothered to reply to your question now. They're just like, I'll just take that link then, thanks. Put me in your post. I'll have my link, please. I thought that was funny. That's my favorite ever roundup answer. Here's my link.
Yeah.
You got to question the sanity of the webmaster that posted that and just didn't admit it. But it was on a fairly proper authority site as well. It was, someone was just like, oh, whatever. Here we go. Maybe they'll retweet it and it'll be worth it. So yeah, I guess send really rubbish replies to roundups. Don't even bother answering them. Just give them your link. You will get some links apparently. So pretty cool.
Might as well. Oh, next on the list, Majestic claims they have a Google-compliant rank tracker for pro users. In the article, I mean, like in the first couple paragraphs, they say that Google is... I'll just read it word for word, because I'm still confused about how they're actually doing this, but Google does not permit automated scraping of its search results, which we all know. However, earlier this year, Google upgraded its Search Console API to allow companies that do not scrape search results to see Search Console ranking data. Does that mean, or I guess, what is the difference between, so what if I scrape everything versus I can still just go in and see it anyways? Why?
Well, I think what Google's doing
I'm not
is
educated.
We spoke about a little while on the show how stupid it was for Google that they've allowed an industry to come into existence that scrapes Google data and sells it to someone else when Google could just sell the data themselves. So I think
are they
I'd be
finally
amazed
doing this?
if this allows them to see the full data, doesn't involve a payment from Majestic to Google. I'd be shocked. I don't know how the deal was done that we revealed on the show a few shows ago where was going to have PR data. But again, if no money changed hands to Google to get them to give that data feed, I would be shocked. Like, I think it just makes 100% sense for Google if data is available by scraping Google and other people are acting as a middleman, scraping your data and selling it to someone else.
Yeah, why not?
You can just say, I'll sell you the data, for God's sake.
Well, if they say that Google does not permit automated scraping of its search results, what is Ahrefs doing? What is SEM?
Well, they're all doing it.
Oh, Ahrefs.
So this is obviously a huge marketing ploy by Majestic, but I'm curious about the underlying details, how they actually negotiated this, and why even.
It sounds like they spread the love, Google, haven't they? Like Serpru got the page rank, Majestic got the.
Why even use Majestic though? Why not? Why doesn't Google just?
Well, regardless of how or why it's happening, the features that they're touting are pretty fucking awesome, and we know that Ahrefs and SEMrush kind of got a leg up on Majestic over the past year or two. So that I think this kind of brings them back into the mix. And they haven't really gone away. It's just, they were
for rank tracking, but
yeah,
rank tracking isn't even what Majestic was famous for. So Ahrefs still has.
So now my next question is, what's Google. The cost to get in on this Google certified rank tracking versus someone that just scrapes it?
You just need a pro account.
So do I have to look? I'll look here.
Scraping is oh no, not like through Majestic. How much is Majestic paying? I think Garrett was meaning.
No, I want to know how much do I have to pay Majestic?
I'll tell you right now.
Probably $297 a month or something, I guess.
Oh fuck that! I'll just use Ahrefs. They're cheaper and the data's
Pro
gonna be the same.
Is $99 a month if you pay quarterly, or $150. $150.
They've gotten a lot cheaper than from what I remember.
Yeah.
Wow.
But what they're giving you is awesome. I mean,
yeah.
All the data that the industry runs off of now is speculative. I mean, they are scraping their own information and basing it on that, so it's pretty close. But here we're getting it from the horse's mouth, so we're getting daily search traffic.
As independent parties, plug into this API, or is it reserved for certain?
No, you'll have to pay.
I mean, you can buy the Majestic API. It says
no. I want to buy the Google Search Console API.
I'd be surprised if the I'd be surprised if the Majestic API includes rank tracking because the Ahrefs one doesn't. They very rarely include the rank tracking in their APIs.
No, what I'm asking is, Majestic is saying earlier this year Google upgraded its Google Search Console APIs to allow companies to see Search Console ranking data. Why can't I? Can I plug into that API?
That's probably That's got to be where Serpru got it too, then, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's probably expensive though.
What's stopping relatively tech-savvy SEOs from? Okay, I'm not paying Majestic $100 a month, even though it's not a lot of money.
Well, I bet you have to pay Google more.
Yeah, so that's what I'm asking. Is it still cost efficient to plug into Majestic?
Like the Savoy's This avoids Google doesn't have to provide a public tool. Like they can probably give you like a really small amount of data, so you can use the API to look at your own site. I mean, Google has loads of awesome free public APIs. Obviously, like we spoke about earlier, some of them disappear without warning. They probably let you do loads of cool stuff on the API for your own site. And having built this API to let you use the Search Console, it makes super sense for them to charge, Majestic X million or whatever they decide to charge them to then resell it. And they make some extra money from this API that they had to develop anyway. It stops them scraping them, which probably saves them more money than even what the payment is. So it's like a double, if you say, if you're being scraped constantly for data that, like, because Google just has to look it up in their database. So you're talking about one database query to give this whole massive pile of rankings versus thousands of scrapers grinding these results out over and over. And there's all the redundancy, like there's all these different providers scraping. So you might have 10,000 different people scraping the same result every day. So Google kills all of that cost and makes some money from it. It's a huge win for them, and it's a huge win for all of us. And I think if they start selling more API data to big software companies and letting them build us cooler tools based on Google data, that's amazing. Look forward to seeing more of it. So Majestic and Serp were the first two. We've announced them on the show as soon as we heard about it.
Full circle to back in the day. I mean, do you guys remember when Yahoo had its
that was amazing.
What was it called? The open something.
Backlink something, yeah.
Yeah, it's basically Ahrefs for free.
Really?
And I think everybody got wise to what that data was being used for, so the door quickly closed.
Yeah, you put some good faith in the internet community, and it's always...
Yeah, it never ends well. But yeah, I think it's super cool. I think more of this stuff would be great. Keep pumping those APIs out and see what people like Majestic and Ahrefs and stuff we can do with the data to make it cool for us.
For sure. Yeah, next on the list, the Irish Wonder. I was just talking to Ben today about Twitter, but I never go on Twitter. I do follow him. Steve found this little update. Looks like he's using our boys at Serpoo to track some stuff, but doesn't look like he was probably too happy about a gambling update in the UK. Looks like he was just bumped into #1 and dropped into oblivion and spiked back up.
Oh, George Nunn you're talking about on the second post.
Yeah. I mean, what said it? That's Paddy Power?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Well, no, I mean, Irish Wonder's just a semi-famous SEO. She's based over in Ireland, obviously, I guess. So. Never met her, but...
I didn't even scroll down to see George Nunn's comment. I was just...
Yeah. Oh, I saw his graph and I was like, Jesus. It's kind of fun.
A bit volatile.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fairly big update by the looks of it. I mean, to see that kind of volatility in the top 20 is pretty insane.
Yeah.
So, what tool is the top one Serpoo or not? I guess I thought it was Serpoo, but maybe it's not.
It looks like Serpoo to me.
Actually, I don't think the top one is. And the second one is not Serpoo either. It's just something else.
No, I don't know though, because like it's on a Mac, so like all
that's what I was just gonna say. It looks like the drop-down buttons for Mac and stuff, but
yeah, it's confusing me by the Mac look.
I don't think either of them are Serpoo though. Maybe someone else can confirm, but
yeah. But I mean, some pretty big update to see that kind of I mean, the interesting one is if you zoom in on the picture. It doesn't look as volatile as it actually is. If you look on the date, where there's a color change on a line and like a dot just disappears, that's a ranking that's literally just dropped straight out. Like there's no connection to that.
There's a whole column there of nothing.
There's a whole bunch of new people appeared. Old people disappeared.
And that affected every single site in the top 20.
The whole top 20 moved. Yeah, I mean, that's insane. I haven't seen anything like that since the payday loans update over here when they attacked and that was a fully manual review when they did the payday loans. It had become so spammed in the UK SERPs, it was Matt Cutts' team actually none.
Are the online casino terms still pretty spammy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We have so many people come to us for gambling links, and they all it's always the same people, and they always buy the same shit links, and then it just goes down. Like these are some of like the better groups.
Yeah, like
And
they
it's
make
like,
their own spam basically.
and then like you just keep dropping down. And it gets shittier and shittier and shittier. Like no one, I don't, I should start up a casino in Canada because I think we could just rank a site doing it our way. I just don't
Yeah,
have millions to support a player base.
that's something
Yeah.
cool to think about. What do you think? How do you think Google handles an entire SERP where all the sites are spamming?
Manual review, like they did with Paleo Loans. It's smart. It deals with it immediately, and the people you hit with a manual penalty never come back.
Yeah.
Well, they do, but they're back. Maybe you let them back. It's your decision. I'd be amazed if this is purely algorithmic because it's insane. Like it looks like they just hit stop on some people and they vanished.
Yeah.
But maybe it was algorithmic. I mean, they have some pretty clever algorithms. I mean,
well, there's actually similar. If you look at the graph and on October 7th to 8th, there looks like a gap there also. Let's see. At least there's some of them there.
Yeah, kind of like 3/8 of the way through there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously always a volatile SERP, but if you look at the first part, it's what I would describe as, for the gambling industry, relatively stable, and then all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same. You can look across it and follow the same colors, mostly drifting around in the top 10. And then suddenly the top 10 is a whole bunch of different sites.
Yeah, it's all yeah. After the 27th, there's all new sites there. That's crazy. Hopefully, that's not going to be happening to our site.
Well, it'd be pretty unlikely. I mean, you're not doing anything like these guys are doing. I mean, I think, my big tip to the gambling industry is just to think a little bit more deeply about what you're doing. I mean, take Pornhub. We spoke about Pornhub on the show ages ago and what they did with their link bait they did about, the sex habits of different parts of Europe. And they got the Scotsman covered the thing they spoke about, what the Scots were into, and TechCrunch covered it, and they got loads of really legit coverage. If you're a big brand in the space, you can do that kind of stuff. If you're a smaller brand, you can do interviews. There's loads of tipsters and people that think they're famous in the space that you can get on a show, interview. We did it in poker. We got links to some, poker players' blogs because they're not that famous, but it's a niche relevant link on an authority site that all of their followers link to. There's natural the whole way up. You don't need to do all this dodgy shit that everyone's doing in the space. And if you just take a step back and stop going to gambling building conferences and listening to tedious presentations about the latest dodgy bullshit that someone's saying might work, take a step back and think about the industry as a whole. And remember, there's industries. Gambling's fun. People like gambling. So especially in Britain, sports sites will link to you and stuff. So you're not in the Viagra niche. You're not in the porn niche. It's something that's really mainstream in some of the markets that you serve. You're not in the toughest link building niche in the world. And yeah, you can cheat, but look what happened to the people that cheated too much on this graph. You can build a sustainable brand and not do all of this stuff if you just think about it for a minute. So that's my tip for anyone in the gambling space. Just have a think for a minute.
Well, man, I think the biggest reason people choose the quick route is because doing it the right way takes a really long time. And, even now, like, I started a site a year ago, and I'm just gaining traction now, and I've put some heavy work into it. So, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, you could start a new site, and you would see traction after 6 months. You get out of that sandbox or whatever you want to call it. But now
6 days.
Yeah,
six days and 2 packs of Sherlock does Google, and you are making $1,000 a month.
It almost seems like now that if you're doing things the right way, it's going to take you 1.5 to 2 years, depending on what kind of resources you have.
Well, it should. I mean, should you be because if you're a gambling brand, people are trusting you with their money. Should you be able to just pop up in the top 10 in the SERPs in less than 5 years?
Correct.
alongside brands that have existed, have hundreds of millions in the bank, have all the right insurance. Should you just be able to grab a license from the easiest to get licensing authority in the world and rank number 3 on Google within 6 months? I don't think so.
Right. Yeah.
It's not how business works.
Online it'll depend on the SERP too, because if you have 20 sites that are all doing things the right way, obviously you have no right to outrank them. No. But in other SERPs where there's a void of content and you still can't get up there because you're in some kind of news site sandbox period, it's a little annoying.
Well, I mean, it takes time no matter what. I mean, Vin's being annoying because he's talking about his own project, so he can't talk about it because obviously don't want to out his niche. But I'll say this though: you are in a legitimate niche where you would hope that the sites that appeared were trusted and had existed for a while. So I'm not surprised it's taking a while to break through.
Yeah.
It seems like a fair thing that building a business takes time.
For sure.
Like quick and easy money. If it was quick and easy money forever, everyone would be number 1 forever. That's not possible. So it has to get harder at some point, right? I mean, which is just getting harder. It's more fun.
Well, this ties into the next post where it's basically our weekly algo ranking update.
Yeah. But we always get the round table in every week.
Yeah. This is a good report. It's good.
The only takeaway, I think I mentioned this last week. Why is it that I guess I haven't looked to what from what days of the week that Barry is actually getting these comments, but his report is always on Friday, and the report is always over the last 24 to 48 hours. Shit has blown up, and he never really says what niches this is happening in. He doesn't, because no one ever says. And the only thing seems to be this may have been a UK update. But it's like something's always rolling out the last couple days of the week. Like something changed. It's like they are. I know it's real time, but it's like every week they're just kind of building up. Okay, and then it's like Thursday night at 3 a.m. The algorithm is like, we got enough data. Let's do it.
Well, the volatility trackers here, it's all showing October 27th, which matches that Circle graph for the online casino.
So that was a month, or no? That was a Friday, right?
That was last Friday. Yeah, no, you're right. It's usually Thursday or Friday over the past 10 weeks now.
Yeah.
It really seems like there's a shakeup, even on a small scale. My site's actually come back.
Good.
But I told you it would.
Yeah, that's to do.
You just ignore the shit and keep going. It's unless you're one of those gambling sites that just disappears completely, then.
Just frustrating as all get at, but I don't know what the weekly volatility is all about. And it's definitely something new to the past 2 or 3 months. Ahrefs, my traffic is actually just continually to grow and grow and grow. Yeah. But if you look at Ahrefs, it's my traffic graph is spiking, and it doesn't make much sense.
Also, no, I mean, Ahrefs and SEMrush, I find the traffic numbers to be
completely off. Yeah.
Yeah, just made up nonsense. I mean,
we have clients that want to buy links from sites that are getting legitimate traffic, and we totally agree with them. That's our whole just cause, is we're helping you build links from real sites with real traffic. But a lot of them want to use tools, and we've all had discussions and the clients agree they're not perfectly perfect, but some of the tools really can be so inaccurate. It's just amazing.
I mean, we're talking about 50x wrong in a lot of cases. It's insane. I mean, you've got sites that are doing, more than 50x wrong. You've got sites that are doing 100,000 visits a month.
And then Ahrefs says 0. And it's 300. Yeah. And then it's if you just to me on those types of tools, as long as the site has some sort of traffic, it has to be a good estimate, because
I like to just look at the keywords it's ranking for. If there's some, if there's some sensible keywords in there that are relevant to the niche that you're wanting to build links in,
and they rank for that, they're getting a good amount of traffic. They're getting enough.
They're going to be getting some traffic. Yeah,
I mean, PBN isn't getting that kind of traffic.
Yeah, but you can't use the tools to tell. Well, you can, but you have to be smarter about it. And I don't think people do enough critical thinking. Like, they look at their own site on Ahrefs, SEMrush, whatever, and they know they're getting 50,000 or whatever. And Ahrefs and SEMrush say 725. So they look at their own site and they see how something. But then they look at another site that you've got them a link on, and it says 1,200, and they're like, oh, it only does 1,200 visits. This is rubbish. But they know from their own site that, that it's off by that.
I've never thought of actually telling someone that. Go to your analytics and tell me how many unique monthlies you get, and then go type it into Ahrefs and tell me the variance.
It's just a disconnect. People just need to just think a little bit more critically about things and use their own knowledge, because they have the knowledge. You know, none of the people who are building sites and being successful online are idiots, not by any stretch of the imagination. If you're getting traction in this day and age and you're doing well, you're pretty smart, and you're definitely amongst the smarter people. You just need to apply that thinking that you use day to day when you're in the trenches to some of the big picture stuff too. And it unlocks a lot of obvious things that, you know, the tools try and make it. I'm trying to word it right. And I think the tools, you think, oh yeah, this is easy, this is right, this is a guide, this will give me a rough idea. And it kind of is, you've got a lot going on, so you don't want to think about that kind of stuff. But it's worth just taking a step back for an hour a week and thinking about some of these things. How are we measuring this? How have we seen this tool to be accurate or inaccurate? Where are its strengths? And let's just focus on using tools for what they're strongest at. And I would say, in general terms, Ahrefs is a fantastic crawler. They have amazing link data. Are they a great traffic estimator? I don't think so.
And
but their data is roughly approximate. With the benchmark was SEMrush. You put the site in Ahrefs and SEMrush, they both have a similar number. So it's not that they've made a tool that's worse than SEMrush. It's just that we've never had good data on that stuff.
Yeah. It's the same thing with like earning estimates for a website. Like when you go on sites like SimilarWeb or like Ahrefs, and it's like, all right, I've got 10,000 keywords indexed. I'm obviously going to be making 20 grand a month or whatever it is. It couldn't be further from the truth, and I really don't know why they even let that.
Oh, I put one of our sites in that does like nothing. It's a really old one. We haven't done anything with it ever. We put like 50 pages on it, and it was one that we just didn't feel like going for. I can't remember now. One of our I don't even know if we still own it. Oh, it was that stupid logo one you asked me about.
Oh,
that we don't even own anymore. Yeah.
That was one of your brilliant ideas.
One of the Well, I was playing around with pay-per-click. It wasn't even an SEO play. I was just learning. I was just learning ads at the time, going back 8 years. So all it had was a few ad landing pages, no content, no SEO, no links. It didn't even convert well on ads, so it's not like we put it in one of those value.
I thought you were giving out free logos for links.
I was like, what? Sorry?
I thought you were giving out free logos for links.
Oh yeah, that was my idea for what to do with it when the pay-per-click didn't work. Yeah. I got some. Yeah. You've actually just given me my don't tweet this. I'll explain my.
I got a free logo out of you.
Yeah. I'll explain my bartering strategy for links. Actually, it's my don't tweet this week, so we'll leave that till later. But yeah, I mean, it said it was worth $27,000 for no apparent reason. I was like,
yeah, I just don't get it.
I don't think so. This was just But that was kind of interesting. That was my first kind of play with trying to sell like a straight up e-commerce thing on pay-per-click. And it's really interesting how you have to have really, really solid margins to use Google pay-per-click to drive to something. Because say you drive 100 visitors, what's your conversion rate going to be? Like a really good shop might have 5%, I think. I mean, you're $100 in to get 5 sales. So $20 is going to Google from each sale. So, and then if you're paying the designer $40 to do the logo, Your minimum price is $61 to make $1 of sale. It gets really not worth it unless you can sell the logos for $100.
Sure.
Yeah. Well,
you know, it's kind of interesting. It's the margins are like on paper.
John asked.
He's going in timeout. It's timeout right now. Here's our time.
John asked. I don't know why I think it's so funny, but it is.
He asked me if I wear this shirt every day, and the answer is no. I have 2 shirts.
There you go. Well, who needs more than 2 shirts? I mean, Steve Jobs wore the same thing every day. Vin's actually the efficient one amongst us because he's not making those pointless decisions every day. You don't even know anything about management strategy. You don't want to waste. You can only make. You can only make like 10 decisions a day or something, and after that, you start making bad decisions. So if you waste the decision every morning deciding what to wear, like I wear whatever's top of the drawer.
Is that a true thing? You can only make 10 good decisions a day?
It's something like that. It might be less, actually. Like every decision you make.
If you drink more, every decision you make is a good one.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't be making any decisions at this time of day, but it is like after midnight here.
Yeah, I have a bad habit of crawling up to bed at night, sleeping in my clothes, and just waking up and crawling back down here. And then before I know it, same thing repeats the next day. And then Megan will be like, "Have you like even looked at yourself in a mirror?" It's like I don't know. But
when your head's down in a project, though, your head's down in a project. I mean, you just until that project's finished, you work till you sleep, and then you start it again without like shower, food. You're like, no, back in the code, man.
I can't. When I do that, I'll grind like that for like 2 weeks, but then I'm like burnt for like 3 weeks, right? Where I can't.
It's a full throttle then take break. Yeah. Like you should cut all unimportant. I mean, I actually do that diligently now. Like if we've got unimportant kind of just general social or family decisions to make, like when are we going to do X? Then I kind of put it off to a Sunday when I'm not thinking about anything else. Because if you start taking those decisions live during the day, it actually cuts your ability to make sharp business decisions because you've already, your brain's already gone through the decision-making process too many times on decisions that were simple and should have been done on an off day.
Yeah.
So I'm really
I am faced with that kind of thing daily, and it pisses me off because you want to be more productive, but at some point your mind is just like, go the fuck to bed. But anyway,
yeah.
You got anything else, buddy? Or
just the last little piece here. It's interesting little tidbit. Another piece on the roundtable from Barry. He's reporting on Gary Isles has said back at SMX East that someone had asked him, "Is there going to be a day where Google doesn't depend on structured data and schema?" And Gary was like, "Well, obviously, yeah. If we were writing a good piece of AI, it could figure it out without having to look at tags. It could just read whatever you have on the page and it would know." And so the person was probably like, "Well, how long is that going to be?" And obviously Gary's not going to say, "Tomorrow we have a perfect piece of AI that can read a book and know exactly what it's about and you can ask it any question."
Yeah. I think this is just noise. I think
it's one of those things that's going to happen. Why wouldn't it happen? Why even be concerned about it? But then, it's interesting, not to bring Zach from last week into the bus, but someone that he makes a good chunk of change off of bouncing the schema ride, right? He marks up all his websites heavily in schema and sees great results, kind of borderline abusing it. He was pretty open about it. Like, I have great results doing that kind of stuff. And I don't know if whoever asked about this maybe did the same sort of thing where that guy in particular didn't know how to rank a site, but he could just dump a lot of schema on it and take advantage of a loophole. I don't know. It's obviously something that's coming.
Well, I mean, to go back to what Ben said earlier, I mean, he's right in terms of, is this going to work to rank how-to pages forever? Obviously, when Google can just read any page and tell that it's a guide, that scheme is going to be irrelevant. I look at all the schemas that we've had before. They weren't called schema, it was called meta tags and meta descriptions, and they were the most important things in SEO. And that was how the original crawlers knew what a page was about, and they don't need it anymore. Google can read a page and knows what it's about. Like, the schemas are the first step where we help them learn by marking things up. And then once they know how to tell what keywords a page is about without you telling them, they say, well, we don't need that anymore. Don't bother telling us.
Yeah, and obviously then they scrape our content, use it for free, and then they don't need our websites anymore either.
Well, you know. We'll see how the cost model for that works out for them. It didn't go too well for Yahoo trying to be a portal without any actual content from anywhere else, did it? So
yeah.
I'm sure Google is mindful that they're actually talking about paying newspapers. They're actually talking about sharing the revenue from Google News. I think they're really mindful of Yahoo syndrome. If you build a search engine where the majority of your users only look at content that you provide, you kind of have to provide the content, and I don't think they wish to, because Yahoo's a big company, but it's certainly not Google, or it was never close, even in its heyday. And I think Google's cognizant they have a much better model, but they have to make the ecosystem sustainable for the people that provide the data and the value. So while we do see them do some stuff that screws people over, I think they won't want to become a portal like Yahoo either.
Yeah. Well, you know, the most I get from this article here is that, okay, sometime in the future, we're not going to need to mark up structured data or schema anymore.
Well, yeah, so just don't
doesn't mean I'm going to stop right now. It means I'm going to
let's just stop right now.
Yeah.
Fuck it then, you know. Roll on 2027.
I just think it's interesting because there might be a day where, I don't think there's a lot of people kind of like gaming the schema thing, but there's going to be a day where you just hear people complain about it. There's going to be a day where it's an update, Chicken 1.0, the schema update, and people are just going to go off the chain about how chicken got me or something, and it's gonna be like, well, I mean, that's a pretty easy one to see. In the future, who knows how far out it is, but
right. Well, I mean, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, that people are already getting tagged with schema penalties for using the system, and
well, I mean, if you're gonna go and give yourself a 5-star review,
yeah.
you're gonna get some.
And if you've been around SEO for any length of time, you know that trying shit like that is just not smart anymore. I mean, you stop trying to game Google unless you're ready to lose your web asset. And if you do, that's proceed at your own risk.
Mm-hmm. Yep, agreed. So I guess that leaves us with the reviews for the week.
Are we doing the main topic now?
We're just gonna skip over it. It's already an hour and a half in, pretty much.
All right.
Yeah, we can save it for next week.
We should skip some of the news. I'm not on the main topic on the show.
We're gonna get on the same page one of these days, guys. Yeah. I swear to you, it'll happen.
My review this week, I think I mentioned we're rebuilding a lot of our old internal sites that we just kind of let die, and we're going to try to monetize them that we used to experiment with. Obviously, meta tags, we know it doesn't do much for SEO as a whole, but click-through is pretty important. I generally click the first one or two SERPs or whatever, but it's meta description's pretty good. Pretty good idea to have on lock. Just have something there for click through and describing what the page is about, or if you want to get sneaky, just lie about what the page is about. Whatever. I don't care what you do with it, but this plugin's pretty good. It's free. It does your sitemap for you, so it'll generate the HTML sitemap, XML sitemap. You can do a bulk editor for meta descriptions. It's just super simple. I really like it, especially these are small sites, like 100, 150 pages a site. If you're doing it on 1,000-page site, this would be even better. It's It's really cool. It's free. Can't beat it. I like it. That's my review.
I think that's something that a lot of people are confused about these days as far as the meta description, where it has no SEO benefit anymore.
No.
But there's totally a copy benefit to it.
Yep.
So if you're a smart person and you're able to entice people to click without going overboard, you can really use meta descriptions to your advantage.
Yes.
Now Google may not even use your description because they just pick and choose what they want to use.
Right.
But there's some.
It'll get used a good percentage of the time though.
Yeah.
I've seen sites where it's over 60%, which is pretty.
It's good enough to optimize it for clicks. Let's say that.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
Well, I mean, if you know, even if it was 30%, if you know 30% of the people are going to see it.
Sure.
Like when I Google stuff and I click, I just kind of briefly glance at the meta description and just see what the page is supposed to be about. And if it doesn't, this is going to sound really weird, but if it doesn't already fall in line with my thought process of what I'm looking for, it's like, I'll just look at the number 2 and see if that's better. And that's kind of how I judge what I'm going to click on. So,
yeah.
Psychology.
I mean, we've seen before clients who had no meta descriptions on any pages, and just adding, 100 to their 100 most important pages definitely had an impact. And if Ram's right, the click-through rate is a potential data point that they're looking at, and if not, then, like Garrett said, if you've clicked on one that you think's the best match to what you actually want,
right,
and you've written it yourself, so you know that users that click that are going to get a good match to what you've written, you're going to get a lower bounce back to SERPs. Like Garrett's saying, if he's written, this is a review of green screen software that won't make your headphones blend into the green screen, and you click on that, and that's the problem you're trying to deal with, Garrett's guide will solve that. Whereas if Google picks a random part of the page, like green screens, like he just happens to have said on the page, green screens for podcasts or something, and so you think it's going to be a green screen for podcast post, and you get to it and it's all about headphones, you're like, I don't wear headphones in my podcast, bounce back. If whichever data point Google's looking at, having a shit meta description is fucking you over, and it's damaging. It could potentially be a ranking signal by proxy to all the other things you can mess up by having the wrong meta description show. So
yeah,
I think it still is a ranking signal, but not the direct way it used to be. Like Google doesn't care what you type in there in terms of, you'll rank better because you put your keyword in 17 times.
Right. But, your meta description should obviously jive with the intent of your article, the core intent of the article. So you want to keep that in mind. You don't want to make outlandish promises in your meta description to get the click, because your time and your bounce rate will.
Yeah. If you offer a 94% discount and your real page is a 94% of the price and a 6% discount, the bounce rate might be a little bit outlandish back to Google after. Yeah.
Well, what I usually like to do is I like to leave a little bit of a cliffhanger in the meta description. So I'll be like, this is this article is about the top 10 wines for the SEO UnMasked show, and then I'll leave it. My favorite wine is ... And so I won't give them that payoff. So it'll prompt them to click through and see what my favorite wine is. So that type of thing works, but you don't want to get kind of spammy with your description either.
Yeah, for sure.
All right,
Steve, I think you're next. Okay, yeah. So the magical Nick Eubanks is back again. SEO Nick in his new incarnation, where he's not SEO Nick. I'm from the future again. He's a regular on the show now. Hi, Nick. I'm sure you totally watch this. So he's talking about something that Vin actually spoken about quite a few times on the show, which is why when I saw this, I was like, we have to link to something to do with this. And then when it was actually a tool, I was like, I can totally review a tool. I can't just put an article in my review. And so we did the tool on a post that I'd had one of our writers do, and intuitively it had a lot of keywords that were 100% what we were trying to do. So it was our what is PR link bait. We built a lot of links to it. When we initially built the links, it bounced straight up onto page 1. and then it just kind of sank, but it didn't matter because we were doing it to get leads. So at the time, it was an amazing post for us. Like, the post had all the stuff on there that sold for us, but it never stuck. And so TF-IDF, as Vin's kind of briefly touched on before, is kind of just a mathematical formula. So it's term frequency times inverse document frequency, according to Mr. Nick here on I'm from the Future. I don't even know if he wrote it. Let's scroll down. I bet one of his team wrote it. He doesn't write posts anymore, surely. Oh, it was. This one is actually a Mr. Nick Eubanks original. The last one I read on this blog, wasn't it? So there we go. Running the agency, startups, training courses, banking the millions, still writing us the posts. Good old Nick. So basically it's just a way of measuring how much terms are coming up. And we've spoken about LSI keywords, and Garrett mentioned a guide I wrote way back before anyone mathematically analyzed this, and we were like, oh, if you write about wine, you want to have the word cork in there, you want to have the word grape in there, and that kind of common sense stuff. And I think my writers did a really good job of doing that stuff in this guide. But this tool, you bang in your URL and the keyword, the main keyword that it's to do with, it takes the top 10 results in Google and puts them through the TF-IDF algorithm and gives you a graph showing where your page is hitting the mark, and the keywords and the words and the topical kind of concepts that the other pages are covering. And you can see the gaps, and the gaps were enormous. So the difference between what sells and what Google was rewarding, it really was a polar opposite. I'm like, wow, we've got like 50 words we need to get onto this page, and the first 10 on the important side all need to be in headings. And they weren't, from a sales perspective, selling the service, using that page to generate leads, they weren't relevant at all. But they weren't spammy, they weren't ridiculous, they weren't words that they made sense when you saw them. So adding them to the page and adding the content and building it around those phrases wouldn't take away from the sales at all. But they just weren't things that were immediately obvious from a sales and conversion point of view. So especially if you've got pages in the Google search results which are extremely conversion important for you, and they're just not quite breaking into the money positions, this kind of tool is like super cool for
and a lot of times the terms that pop up are going to be jargon words and phrases, or synonyms for things that only people that are intimately knowledgeable about the topic would know. So from a guy that runs a content agency, or anybody that runs an SEO agency who's writing content, they're just using standard SEO on-site best practices. They might not touch on a lot of these terms, where somebody who's intimately involved in the topic will just use this terminology like second nature. So using a tool like this kind of gives you insight into that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pull up the picture on our Garrett and my conversation from earlier, just to see the kind of, here we go, bring this over to the screen that I can see whilst also looking at the camera. 1 second, guys.
Yeah, I'm looking at their examples here.
Yeah, so like some of the things that were, I mean, I'm really familiar with PR. Obviously, I mean, we've got coverage for clients in the New York Times and stuff. I've written a book about PR for SEO professionals, although I didn't quite finish the book fully, but we gave it away for free. But just some of the things that were important on the pages that actually ranked. For example, like we were selling to people, not agencies, with this particular piece of content, but all the top pages had clients in the article. So a lot of the audience, or a lot of who Google thinks is the audience for this, is agency staff and agency people. So if we want our page to win, we need to think about how do we make this page more appealing to agencies, not just business owners. And that was a huge learning point from it. Target audience, we didn't cover enough.
I think that's a great point. I think that you shouldn't use this tool just to find a list, a vocabulary list of terms to add to your content. you should kind of stew on why those words are in there and what the intention of those words are, because you're going to be able to brainstorm new sections or even rewrite the entire piece of content based on the insight that those words give you.
Yeah, and there's things like conferences, and that's further down the list, but I didn't even think about talking about, you know, PR conferences that people might go to, but the best pages in the industry probably do cover that. So my tips for business owners might be perfect. It was selling well, it was getting links like easily, so it's ticking all the boxes from our end in terms of what we were measuring. Put it into a tool like this, and it gives you a whole bunch of different insights on things that Google's rewarding and that your audience might be interested in to improve the page. So I think this tool is super, super interesting. And like Ben says, if you don't just, you know, take the screenshot, give it to your copywriter and tell them to slap the keywords in, if you think deeply about strategically why, like maybe, I mean, obviously Google knows who's searching for these things, not directly like a human sits down with a spreadsheet and sees, oh, agency people search for PR keywords. If the agency audience is huge and we're missing out on connecting with agencies or even targeting, it could be strategically for the business as a whole an important thing to think about what content we can put together to target agencies in the PR space with services. So it can actually influence your broader business decisions, not just keywords on a page. It's really interesting.
And I don't know if Nick is planning on releasing this as an ongoing tool, or if this was just an example to illustrate the concept. But a couple.
Well, you mean you could write this? You could write this yourself in Python in 4 hours or something.
Yeah. A couple weeks ago, I reviewed one of the tools. It was called ranks.nl. So that's still a really good TF-IDF tool. You know, alternative if this doesn't stick around for the long haul. Cool.
Yep. So it leaves you, Vin.
All right. So my review this week is a negative review, and it's a general review on all link vendors on scammy Facebook groups.
Cut his mic, Garrett.
This is going to be kind of biased because we're all SEO service providers here, and you know, I think that we all provide a very high quality service. But this is more of a review and a warning to anybody that goes into these Facebook SEO groups and sees all these advertisements for link sales, and it's like $20 for, you know, they're promising high heaven. I can almost guarantee you're not going to get any results, and if you do, any results that you do get will not be lasting very long. So me and Garrett have kind of played a little joke on these guys all week, and we've been asking them for proof. And I suggest that anybody that goes into one of these groups looking to buy a link or buy a service, that you publicly ask them for a case study or proof of the effectiveness over the last, you know, couple of months. And I will guarantee you more times than not, they won't even answer you. And I don't know if that's because they don't know themselves, which they probably don't, or they're just trying to be elusive. So, you know, Facebook link sales and Facebook SEO groups are growing and growing and growing, and the quality you can find there is diminishing by the day. So my review is just to be careful, more of a warning for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Garrett and I are actually going to be doing a really interesting training piece. It's going to be free. It's going to be a video, be a webinar just around how you can read people's sales pages. And we're going to obfuscate who the companies are, because we're not going to be you know, ripping on some competitors and other nonsense like that. Garrett would like to, probably, but he hates them all. But we're not going to be ripping on any competitors, but we're going to just show you how they don't actually even lie to you most of the time. Like some people come away from these services and they feel like they've been lied to. Like, oh, I just got these paid links on PBN sites and they told me it was this. And you go to the sales page where they bought from, and it's clear from the wording and the description on the sales page they've tried to slightly obfuscate what they do, but they've stayed within being 100% truthful.
And
if you take a time to read what they've written.
Yeah, that's why I get really angry when, that's the whole reason I knock these guys in these groups. Oh, we do outreach, we do this and that and that. But, Vin's brought it up too. If you're putting 1,000 different of your clients' links on this website, you've effectively turned it into this piece of shit PBN that every other link and your mother's website is on. It's a useless site, and Vin said it too. What's stopping Google from looking at that site and just being like, oh, this is pretty fucking obvious that you're linking
what's stopping them from these guys are posting lists of
they're tiny lists, they're like 250. It's like
so
Google can just buy the whole list for nothing, and
Google is money than gods. Why can't they buy a link from every site and make the guy's day? The guy will, come away with like a $1,000 order, but then go ahead and devalue or de-index the contributor account on every single site. There's nothing, and that's obviously what Google is doing. That's what the web spam team is doing for every single public forum service, every single Facebook group. If it gets big enough and there's enough people buying it, they're gonna, Google's gonna find it and they're gonna go ahead and buy them, and then just de-index the sites or devalue.
It's like that guy that tweeted at Matt Cutts saying, I have no footprint. You can't find my PBN. I think it took him a day. I mean, to be fair, it took Matt a full day before his team had him shut down. It's like,
but
but they don't lie to you. It's amazing. People, I think there's certain buzzwords that work from a sales perspective. So I don't think a single page or a single piece of content that we do says white hat on it. But that's a sales phrase. It means nothing. You put white hat on there. White hat outreach.
There's no such fucking thing.
Guest post or whatever. And it's like, well, all of those things are probably true, but you didn't say on the page that you don't pay for them, and you do.
What I like to go on.
What it comes down to is there's really three types of providers. There's number one, the guy that's going to do a legitimate service for you, that's going to be effective, and you're going to get a good ROI on your purchase. Number two is the link seller that's just trying to scam you. And, like I dealt with these guys from Wickedfire when I was still learning back in like 2009, 2010. I remember one guy, I bought like a $200 package, and the guy told me it didn't work because when I filled out his form, I included my keywords in all capital letters instead of all lowercase letters.
Well, that was a rookie mistake on your part.
Yeah. So that's why
everyone knows it's lowercase.
But the third group is just these link sellers that don't even know what they're trying to sell. And, they're from countries that we would consider to be second, third world countries. And, they're just reselling and reselling and reselling, and they don't even know what the hell they're selling. They're just trying to make a buck. So the way to get around this is ask for referrals, ask for proof, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, what really pisses me off about this whole circle of link buying is I have a lot of people come to me on Facebook, right? And a lot of them can't afford us, which is fine. I understand. But a lot of these guys are doing SEO work for local businesses, small businesses who have. I assume that the reason they can't afford us because they're the guys that are doing it for like $500 a month or less. They're just trying to figure this out. Which, if you're doing that, just stop, because you're wasting your own time and you're wasting your clients' money, and just stop and learn to do it right. But these guys come to me and they want to buy links for $20. And I say, no, absolutely not. You're about $150 off. Sorry, It's just the way it is. I can point you to Steve's guide on Builder Society. Everything we do is right there. You can do it yourself. I can give you that. That's worth like $10,000. Just do it. And
I know. I think
they won't do it. But I was telling Vin before the show, they show up in the same for sale threads. I want your $20 links. And these are the guys that fuck over these small businesses. They absolutely destroy their sites. Like some business owner bought dansplumbing.com in Philadelphia or whatever. He'll make money for a month, and then it's going to be gone for 10 years because Dan has no idea how to build a website. He's never going to trust an SEO because Ray from the East Bank is a fucking idiot, and doesn't know what the fuck a link is, but he just thinks, well, what's the difference between 20 because it's outreach? It's fucking retarded.
And you know what, that as you brought up pricing too, and I think there's people out there that think both of our companies are overpriced. You know,
sure, yeah, it's fair.
You know, supply and demand exists, and the reason that we charge these prices is because we have enough demand to, you know, that's where the price point landed. Yeah. So if you feel that,
well, I mean, our pricing isn't even demand based. We charge cost plus. So like.
I mean, surely Vin knows there's copywriting agencies that are charging like $10 for 10 words or something. You know, it's like, it's not like we're the most expensive people out there for links either. It's
well, my point is, if you're trying to buy links or content and you don't have the budget for it, you may be putting the cart before the horse a little bit, and you probably have to do a little. You have to build up your experience. You have to build up, you know, the basics of SEO. So you can get, you know, your revenue turning along to where you can start affording the higher quality stuff. You know, that I feel that we provide. So, you know, there's no shortcuts. So if you see something,
and my take on it is we know, because we have super slick systems in place. We don't overpay anyone. We don't underpay anyone. Everything's done extremely well managed in terms of cost, because I've actually been paid a lot of money by an agency to save costs on their link building operation. I mean,
you know,
that's my specialty. Go on.
I've had competitors ask me how many VAs we have, and I'm like, you know, it really depends. We do have a high turnover rate, but it's between 4 and 6, 4 and 8, you know, on a given month. And they're like, what do you mean? How many total employees do you have? I'm like, well, we don't have employees. You know, we have contractors, but most of our contractors are either in England or the United States that earn a decent wage. And like, how can you possibly afford to pay people that much money?
Yeah.
I'm like, we've been doing outreach for like a decade. We've been so far ahead of the curve, and I'm not saying outreach is the holy grail, but it's like we've been doing it for so long, and we've had years to focus on building a system and translating it into a business and doing that. It's like, you're so far behind the curve, man. It's like, don't even try to.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was my point. I'm confident that if you take my guide and do it yourself, you will get your first 50 links or whatever, you know, cheaper than we can do it, because your time's not worth much. But if you want to keep scaling up and it's not when you start a site, your time's worth nothing, because you're starting a new site. You're trying to, like, you write all your own articles when you start your own site. I mean, there's a cost curve, isn't there? You know, articles are the cheapest thing. You start outsourcing first. Like, you start your site, and then you're like, oh man, I've been doing 30 articles a month now for 6 months. I can't write another article. Then you bring in word agents, and you're doing your outreach, and you're like, oh man, I used to be doing 20 links a month easily. The last 3 or 4 months, I can only get 10 in. This is getting hard. And as your time gets more valuable, as your site gets better, you start outsourcing piece by piece to experts that know what they're doing. I know you can't get links cheaper than what you pay us, taking your time into account, managing the team. The only way you can get links at the price we sell, that the same quality and the same difficultness to get, is by becoming a link building agency yourself that does the numbers we do and has the economies of scale. So you can start off with your 3 SEOs in-house at your fairly big site or whatever, and you can maybe do 20 or 30 a month. And I know it because we've had people come back to us who were like, yeah, you're too expensive. I can get paid links cheaper than you do on your paid links package. So we're not even talking about outreach now, just the paid link. But eventually they cap out because they don't have the economies of scale of working for 80 clients. And we're a simple cost plus. We have really tight margins. We're a volume business. I know that all you're paying us for is not managing it. The only fee is me and Garrett managing the business. That's all you pay on top of what your cost would be.
You made the same point I was trying to make. You just said it in a much more in a better way. But it's true. Like, if you think something is too expensive, it's because you haven't done enough of it on your own already. And once you get to the point where you need to outsource, I'm telling you that $200 for the link or whatever it is, or the $100 for the article, it's not going to be anything to you. You're going to be grateful for that service exists. So
yeah, and like I say to people who have like they think they're saving some money by not having Vin do the link bait. For our clients where Vin's done the link bait, we're giving them between 10 and 30% extra links for free. Vin knows because he uses it for his project. He doesn't pay anywhere near the price everyone else pays. Not because we like Vin. Obviously, we do like Vin, but I'm not going to lose money just because I like Vin. Like, his team's written the shit that's easy to get links to. Like, you're not saving yourself. Even if you order a long link bait from Vin and it's $240, if you're building 20 links to it, you're going to end up with 26.
Yep.
A lot of the time, by the time you finish with it. So you've saved yourself $800 by spending that. So that's another mistake people make is you're not saving money by not spending on someone doing something better. Like if Vin's team, they know now from working with us for so long. It's not even been so long. I mean, they adapted really quickly to what we needed. I mean, it took 3 months or whatever to get it bang on, and from then it's been just a huge boost to our clients that have used Vin. Unless your in-house team's at that level, you're saving money by spending it.
Yeah,
because you'll get more results, more links back from the campaign.
And that speaks to outsourcing. And I'm not just promoting us. Like I promote the community in general. Like we have competitors, but hey, I don't want to see them bomb. I want to see them make money too. There's enough money for everybody. But it speaks to the power of hiring or outsourcing to people that have had success by themselves. Because I'm able to coach my team to write content in a certain way that's going to get a higher conversion rate on outreach links that you build. And same thing with you guys too. You guys know how you have the experience to approach sites in a certain way that's going to have a much higher conversion rate than a newbie or even somebody that's meddling in link building. So it may seem more expensive, but you're freeing yourself of the headache of managing it yourself. And you're freeing yourself of the headache of trial and error of using all these crappy services on Facebook before you finally realize what you should be getting.
Yeah.
So, most people, there'll be a small portion of people that'll never agree with me and they just want the cheapest thing possible all the time. That's completely fine. But my point here is really...
Well, for those people, we give the stuff away for free. I mean, you've put some great content. I mean, you put that piece together about how you built an authority site from beginning to end and sold it for $700,000. Like, and we've put together our whole company playbook. I wrote down in a guide and gave away for free. Like, we're not trying to stop you doing it yourself. If doing it yourself's the right thing,
yeah, like you guys watched The Sopranos back when it was on TV, and fucking Tony Soprano and Philly Leotardi, it's always the garbage wars because that's their bread and butter. It's their legal money, supposedly, whatever. There's plenty of fucking garbage for everybody. There's plenty of SEO work for everybody. But there's always going to be people at top that are doing it right, like right in rabbit ears or whatever you call it.
Right.
And I had no problem talking with competitors, being like, let's sort down and figure something out. But it's always the guy is kicking around in the scrap pile, just biting for pieces of this and biting for people of that. And it trickles up to the top. And it just, not saying that we're at the top of the pyramid, but it's like, it's always the guys at the top, like looking down, like, if you guys would just put in an extra 10% a day, imagine what more you could do.
Yeah. And on the same line, like I don't mind revealing exactly what I do for my sites, because first of all, there's going to be a portion of people that just won't put the work in, and then
it's a lot of work.
And then everybody that wants to put the work in will quickly realize that it's a ton of fucking work, and you're not even going to be able to do it all by yourself.
No.
So
not anymore. No.
You need to outsource if you want to get anywhere legitimate in any, in the next 5 years. Forget about the next year. Like, so I'm not outing myself by sharing, something in a guide, and you guys aren't outing your company by sharing an outreach.
I agree most with what you just said. People aren't going to do it anyways. Like, I think I've said before, Steve always wants me to share more.
Garrett just got me in. He got me in. You got to let me get this one in, because Gary Vaynerchuk just said that in one of his keynotes.
We should have made it $10 every time.
Someone said, no, I want to get Vin. I need to make sure Vin gets at least one old fashioned as Vegas prices. In one of his recent keynotes, he literally just said that. The girl said to him that was interviewing him, "Why do you give away so much for free?" And
no one's going to do it.
99% of you
That's the reason these
aren't
online...
going to do it anyway. And the 1% who listen, they were going to win anyway. You can't stop the winners. And the 99% who don't do anything, they just worship me and think I'm...
The worst part about it is those 99%ers don't realize how dumb they are when Gary just straight up called them fucking idiots to their face.
Yeah.
I would visualize the SEO community as a pyramid, right? So the bottom of it are just people that
just
learn
so huge.
They heard about making money online, and they just like reading about it. They like living vicariously through others. Then the next step up is people who might read about it and might buy a domain name, and then that's as far as they go. And it just goes up and up and up. But there's only the tippy top are the real players that are actually doing anything, and they understand that a one-man band still needs to buy their instruments from somewhere, and they need to outsource properly in order to grow their business. And it's usually the guys that are at the bottom that are just very confused. They're the ones that are leaving the negative reviews because they don't understand really what it is they should be buying or what they should be looking for. And it's there needs to be an understanding that SEO is a business like anything else, and it's going to take a lot of hard work, and you're not going to be able to do it all on your own.
And it's learning your own skills as well. I mean, I would say these days, with the best will in the world, I'm not, by myself, if I was a freelancer, I'm not an SEO anymore. I mean, I'm a businessman, I'm a salesman, and I'm extremely good at PR and outreach. So if you wanted to get me in your local paper and get me to pitch them, if I was a freelancer, that's what I'd be doing. I'd be a PR person. I'd be pitching and doing outreach. That's where my skills are. I'm obsessed with psychology, with writing things that convert, with driving results that way. That's where my skills are. That's what I'm good at. Like, I'm not an SEO anymore. I mean, Garrett's like super geeks out on the spreadsheets and the data and interlinking. He's still a real SEO. I'm not anymore.
I fucking hate it now.
But when you start like deviating from into an area where you become an expert, you realize how far behind the journeyman kind of jack of all trades actually is, because every area you get into, like Nick Eubanks, he's a super technical guy. Like I think they've spoken a couple of times in public about they've left a review on a link building company's website that's very positive of all the outsourcing they do with them. So they outsource a lot of their links and they talk about it in public. So I'm not really saying anything there. But he's super famous for doing an absolutely top level technical SEO. Like the SEO Nick blog was one of the best blogs in the world at the time before he sold it. Now I'm from the Future is just fantastic stuff. Whenever you talk to anyone at that business, they're professionally different class, but they're a team of different people with amazing different skills. Like within his team, I bet he has amazing outreach and PR people, amazing designers, amazing writers. Like the SEO person you're dealing with is a combination of these amazing talents from around his SEO business. I think this idea that you can just be a one-man band who knows everything is insane. Like I would bet there's things that his like top PR person does in outreach and pitching that Nick doesn't know about or wouldn't be able to do as well or doesn't fully get. Like just the little tweaks to psychology, the way you word something. Like, oh, for this site, I would just change that word to this. And I know Garrett and Mark and a couple of other guys in our team look at me like I'm mental when I'm making them change two words in an email.
Usually right.
It's super important.
Yeah.
And those tiny details you get when you're all in on one part of the puzzle, like it would take me probably 10 years to catch up with SEO Nick on what he knows that I don't know.
Yeah.
All technical stuff. I mean, he's just so far ahead.
Yeah.
And there was an idea when SEO was easy that we could all just be jacks of all trades and we'd all be, oh yeah, we're great. I'm an SEO. I don't know how many people actually were. I wasn't.
You know how like the New York Times is buying up all these web properties, and how long do you guys think it's going to be before it's just like another outright, I was going to say conglomerate, then I was going to say advertising game, but like these guys can afford to hire the best of the best.
Right.
And it's just going to be a matter of time where there's just no fucking way. It doesn't even have to do with budget anymore. Like, because obviously you can still compete with people.
Yeah, like the New York Times.
Well, we talked about that last week when we were looking at that graphic of like the 6 companies that own the or something like that.
What Garrett's getting at is it's not just the starting position where they buy those big properties. Like if the New York Times is like, oh, this one's not doing as well, let's bring in I'm from the Future on $50,000 a month to get it sorted. You know, we've got people who are like,
I think they're paying a lot more attention to this now.
$500 for a few.
Yeah, it's like not like they're going to call me.
Bring in $50,000 consultants like I'm from the Future, and
to
get that level of knowledge and expertise, they can bring in those big money experts, and so not only they start off with more money, they can then buy properties that are ahead, and then they can bring in I'm from the Future distilled. All these
what I think it is partially is there's a realization on the corporate level, at the enterprise level, that the old guard of marketing isn't as effective as it once was, and it's certainly not effective in the digital marketing world. So now it's time to actually kind of figure out what all this SEO digital marketing stuff is, and I think that's what's happening. I'm dealing with an enterprise level client that I'm creating really well optimized content for them, but I can't get it approved by their board or whoever approves it. And
let me guess. The phrase they use is, "This isn't on our brand message."
It's not on brand, right? It's not on brand. So, but they have zero organic traffic, and they came to me because they want organic.
They want traffic.
So I'm like, guys, if you want organic traffic, this is what you have to do. I'm sorry that it's not according to your, internal brand documents as far as what your content should read, but this is what it needs to be. And
it's exactly what I learned with my post, isn't it? Like, this post sells amazingly, but Google doesn't want it.
Yeah, exactly.
So if we want that to pop back in Google, we need to go back and rewrite it. And like Garrett said, we're going back to all of our toy sites from the past. And
I mean,
to be fair, we're like 10 times bigger than we were when we were messing around with these sites, and we've got budget now to play properly.
Dude, I look at some of the shit we were doing like 5 years ago, and it's like, holy fuck! How did this make any money? But it did.
we knew we were cheating back then. We knew it was short-term money. It was
they were fuck-around sites, but they still they didn't make a lot of money. They only made like a couple $100 a month. But the amount of tests,
it was more like a couple of thousand. I mean, the one you were working on at the minute was a $2,000 a month site.
But it's like the amount of just like not give a fuck.
The $700 spent up front, and then nothing.
It's just like. Now it's like, Vin was talking, dig in for a year before you see anything. Now it's like, it's going to be like a year and a half before I have all this content remerged, incentive banned, and rewritten, and fucking I got Zach fixing all the other shit.
Well, we actually sent an order. To Vin that was like replacing a whole bunch of content on one of the sites.
A few weeks ago, it was just I needed like some sites we haven't updated in 2 years. So I'm like, I need 2 articles for this and 2 articles for that, 2 articles for this.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many cool and I would say fun like digital marketing and SEO strategies and tactics that you can do. But you can only start doing them after you get over that initial hump of breaking through into your industry basically online. So I was kind of there right before I sold that site. And it's kind of bittersweet. I wanted the money for other projects, but it would have been real fun to start getting into those higher level marketing strategies, or digital marketing strategies rather. So hopefully once I get my current sites through that hump, I can start getting into the higher level.
I don't know, when someone offers you $1 million again, you're going to be like, screw it, I'll just take it again. I know I was looking forward to some future strategies and stuff, but I'm just going to take the $1 million again. I'm gonna say
I'm
we'll
looking
do
forward
it.
to building
We'll do it over an old fashioned. When someone offers you $1 million for your current site, I'm gonna say for one old fashioned that you take the $1 million.
No, I'm really looking forward to growing the sites into two legitimate businesses because I'm sticking with 2 sites now, and
I still think you'll take the $1 million. It's so easy for you to build another one. You're just like, oh yeah, we go.
I don't know, man. This last year and a half has been such a grind. I'm ready to get back to where I was.
Okay.
Yeah,
right,
I might lose.
Yeah, let's wrap the show up. We're going on about 2 hours. Don't tweet this. So I see a lot of stuff on Facebook. Guys are struggling to find the rankings they want, and it could lead down to a lot of stuff trickling down, buying really cheap links that have been devalued months before you even bought them. It could be your content is shit. It could be your site's a piece of shit. It could just be a lot of stuff. Or it could be like that 1% fluke where you've been sandboxed eternally and nothing you can do can get it to rank where it needs to be, but it should be. I mean, just sit down and I always say it, be honest with yourself. Is my site as of quality as my competitors? If it's better, okay, move on and look at, is my link profile really shitty compared to my competitors? If that's still better, move on to the next. Is my on-site okay? Is the next thing okay? And if you get down that list and you're still honestly like, I have nowhere to improve, you're part of that 1% that you've just been fucked. I don't know what to tell you. Keep doing what you're doing. Someday that's going to rank. Look at maybe Bing and Yahoo and some other alternative search engines for some money somehow.
Yeah. I just answered this in a roundup that I just did today. Just you go through metric by metric and you see where you're failing. But what you have to keep in mind too is that after every change that you make, whether it be on a page level or domain level, Google's probably going to shake up your rankings for a little while too. Yeah. So it's going to be a long optimization process where you change one thing and then you got to wait a few weeks and let it kind of settle a little bit.
Well, it's more than a few weeks. I mean, they can like if you say you take on a local client and they're like I'm going to say law firm just because I did a lot of research in that space because I was going to write a book for lawyers. But then we kind of changed direction as a business and stopped taking consulting clients. So writing a book for lawyers.
Can you imagine if we were consulting for lawyers again?
Well, I mean, they have some nice businesses, but anyway,
it's not worth it.
No, not for the fees. But anyway, so you're a law firm and you're a really shit page, and it's like number 7, and you've got 300 words of accident lawyer, or I'm trying to think of a town. Well, let's just do Las Vegas because we're going to Las Vegas in a few days. For the UnGagged conference, if you're there, come join us for a drink. We're having a secret, like non-advertised, but all expenses paid, limo ride, drinks, food.
Yes.
Hang out with us. So
there's only a few obligations. You have to get really drunk. You have to eat some good food at Gordon Biersk, and you have to talk to people. I just talk bullshit, whatever.
So at SD Brownlee on Twitter. How do you guys want to be contacted? If anyone wants to contact you about coming on?
Find me on Facebook. Facebook made me change my name to my real name. So
Garrett Graff on Facebook and Ben.
Otherwise Garrett at reachcreator.com.
And Ben?
My email is Vincent at wordagents.com.
Cool. So that's how to reach us. If you want to come along, just ping one of us. It's going to be super limited on spaces. Obviously, we're advising.
Yeah, I think we were talking 20. We might have to kick it down to like 18, but
yeah, I think we're going to go at 18.
I think the limo holds. Is it 16 or 14?
The limo's going to be 14, but obviously us 3 won't be on the limo if it's full of
if we get up to 20, I'll just get us a town car and I'll ride in the town car with 3 other people or whatever.
So are we doing a 2-hour limo ride or are we just renting a limo?
No. It's 45 minutes in the limo with some champagne. Then we get to Gordon Biersk. Then we drink, we eat. Then the survivors come with us to Hard Rock, and we keep on drinking at the bar there till 4 in the morning. And then we all make it. We all make it at 10 a.m. to Cygnus SEO's influencer marketing presentation.
Cygnus is there. I have a bone to pick with him.
Yeah, that's literally. Yeah, we need to get him along actually because he was going to work with us on some stuff.
Then I don't have.
If you're watching, dude, look out for my tweet because I am going to give you a shout because we spoke a few times. But everyone's going to make it to his presentation at 10 in the morning because that's literally the only. Well, I mean, maybe not the only presentation.
So, go to bed around 4, get a couple of hours sleep, Bloody Mary bar, fucking hit the show at 9:30. Everyone knows how it goes.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. So if you're out on Guide, give us a shout. So anyway, so if you've got like injury lawyer Las Vegas, and your page is 300 words of that bolded a bunch of times, if you take that out and replace it with a 2,000 word amazing article, you're going to just bomb straight down to 30th. And you'll be down there for anywhere between 4 weeks and 3 months. Yeah. And then you're going to pop up to where you're going to be. And the reason Google does that is just purely from an anti-machine learning perspective. If they allowed you to measure immediately the impact of your changes, it's super easy for people to reverse engineer the algorithm, which they don't want you to do. So how do they stop it? They obfuscate the impact of what you've done. Because who does one change in a vacuum to one page on a site and then is prepared to wait 3 to 4 months to see what that one change did and then apply it to their machine learning algorithm? Even if they did, by the time you've done it, Google's made how many updates do they make a month? 200 updates a month? Google's made 800 updates by the time you make your next change.
Yeah.
They're ahead of you if you try and reverse engineer their algorithm, and that's why they do it.
So the way to approach it is to batch your changes by, I guess, what you're changing. So, for instance, if you want to update all of your title tags, do it for all the pages that need an update at once, and that way you're going to get the.
That would give you some data, yeah. And the other thing as well is just to do what's right for quality and ignore the short term. Yeah, I think was my main point. But yeah, Bin's got a nice little black hat twist on it, and how you can actually still get some data. So that's good as well.
Let's finish up here. Don't tweet this so I can use the bathroom.
Me? Okay. Real quick. It's kind of a longer one, but
that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay.
Forum links absolutely still work for SEO. Everybody says blog comments and forum links don't work. But they do. They're great for SEO rankings and natural traffic. The way you go about it has to be quality. You can't be just throwing profile links, and you can't be throwing those signature links in there. So what I usually like to do is I'll pick 5 target forums, and I'll have one of my writers post on them once a day, every day for a month. So build up a little clout on each forum, and then I'll go ahead and I'll create a new thread that's asking a question, and I'll drop my link as a way to illustrate the question and provide more information into what I'm asking. And more times than not, my link sticks, and I've got a nice do follow link from a high domain authority forum, and it not only helps me with SEO rankings, but I'm getting targeted traffic because it's normally a targeted forum, or at least a targeted post that's related to the topic of my
one niche that works super well then is the supplements and nutrition niche.
Yeah. Did you freeze there for a second?
Yeah. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah. I was saying like the nutrition niche, bodybuilding, supplements, all that kind of stuff, that kind of tactic works really well because there's the same, and I guess it probably works in our industry, which is why Vin's talking about it. I mean, it's where probably we don't do it for the SEO links, but in terms of business, participating in communities is where probably 90% of our orders come from. And it's the same in those kind of niches where the same conversation comes up. You can go to a forum you haven't been to for a month and skim down, and there's going to be 50 questions you can answer because it's the same questions from the month before over and over again. How do I get my 6-pack abs? How do I lose some weight? How do I improve my diet? I'm struggling with my breathing when I'm doing.
It's a completely legitimate way of doing it. I mean, I get a little black hat where like my profiles I'll pose as like a middle-aged mom or something like that. But you know, it's all about perception.
You're not a middle-aged man then, no?
For instance, if I had a fitness site that I wanted to link to, I would have my profile as a middle-aged mom, and I'd be like, hey guys, I'm trying to lose 5 pounds for my daughter's wedding. I read on this website, which is my website, that I can lose 5 pounds by using this strategy. Is this true, or should I try something else? And
that's so cheeseball. I love it.
Yeah, but it works every time. I've never had a thread. I've never been called out.
Very few get to. It's the older. I like it.
And it works. So definitely
sure.
suggest something like that.
Well, cool. I think that brings us up to our the end.
Yeah. Not the end of everything, just the end of the show.
Yeah, it was another long one, but that's all right. Good thing we skipped that. We'll do the lawyer talk next week, I guess, or something. We'll find something better. Whatever. Let's wrap her up. Thanks for joining us. SEO UnMasked number 14. I can't believe it's been 14 weeks already.
Yeah.
How many months is that? 14 over 4. It's about 3 months, 2 weeks or so.
We got 56 subscribers now, so
we're getting up there. Yeah, that's fun. Don't forget to email Sassy Steve all of your questions at steve@reachgator.com. No matter how simple, no matter how hard. If you want advice on life, email Sassy Steve. Smash that like button, share, subscribe, tell your mom, tell your dad. See you next week, 7 p.m. Eastern. See ya.
Later, guys.
I think Steve left us.